Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. Everyone say Ayo. Let me hear you say Ayo. Today we're taking a look at the Elegoo Neptune 4. So, not to be mistaken with the Neptune 4 Pro, which is about $40 more and has a segmented heat bed, but I believe other than that, it's basically the same printer. So Neptune 4 and Neptune 4 Pro, very, very similar. In fact, I would probably recommend just getting this one. A segmented heat bed does not really benefit you very much, if at all. I'm not convinced they really do anything. So, yeah, save yourself the $40 and get the Neptune 4 over the Neptune 4 Pro on the basis that that is the only difference. Just so you know. So you should also know that Elegoo sent me this printer for free so that I can do a review. By free, I mean like I'm doing this in exchange for them giving it to me kind of thing. They've not paid for me to do a live stream. That's what I'm saying. So I can say whatever the hell I like. I will let you know if I think it's trash. But today the main benefit is to do some unboxing, assemble it, check the stuff that's inside like we normally do, see what the control board and stuff is. We'll check for the firmware, we'll set it up, we'll do a first print, and I'll give you some first impressions on what I think about it. So, I think we'll just get straight into it. Let's not hang about, we've got lots to do. How's everyone's day going? Hopefully better than mine. I had a bit of a resin spill this morning. So, yeah, pretty frustrated with the old resin printing side of things at the moment. It's very, very annoying and it's made a mess. So, back to the old FDM today for now. So, this is all going to look fairly similar to the Neptune 3. The machines are not very different. This is one of the big differences, I suppose. So, this is like a whacking great fan duct with just 4 fans in it. It blows a whole load of air. Hot air? No, it doesn't blow hot air. It just blows air all the way across. So it's like auxiliary cooling. You've got a switch here so you can opt to have it on or off. Probably depends how fast you're wanting to print. Very interesting. I've got a spool holder. Assuming that can go in either side here. There we go. Easy peasy. That'll hold your spool holder. Just your spool rather. Quite a big box bag rather of accessories here. Got a power cable, which is nice, a UK one, and this is to hold the screen. And we have a network cable because we've got network connectivity options with this printer because it runs Clipper, which is absolutely awesome. Hopefully we can find the firmware and they're not violating open source requirements. Some rapid PLA plus, absolutely minuscule amount. I'm not sure how much you're realistically going to be able to do with that. Scraper, filament sensor, USB drive, screws and tools, clippers, nozzles, USB drive. What the hell's this? That's a micro SD card. That's a USB drive. And yeah, side clips and the old little needle for cleaning the nozzle. I can't believe they still have a plastic scraper. I'm sure it's a flexible PI bed, hopefully. Hopefully. Don't think we'll need... Oh, we might need these. We're definitely going to need that. I'm not going to use the standard tools. I don't think I'll use my own. That we'll need. That we can do without. That we can probably do without. That I've got my own one of. And that we don't need. Oh, that wasn't in the bag. In terms of instructions, we've got a warning for power usage, if for, you know, correct voltage on the power supply, etc. And a note about tightening the wheels and about auto leveling. We'll hopefully run through all of that anyway. Then you've got a manual here, presumably, image of the control board, which is quite nice to have, and of the tool board on the hot end. Again, also nice to have. Some troubleshooting guide, slicing guide, leveling, operation, installation, inclusion, parameters. Nice. Pretty thorough looking guide. Right, let's get on. I should stand up for this, just to make sure I don't do myself a mischief, taking it out of the box. It is the flexible PI plate, which is good. So the likeliness of you needing that scraper is extremely low. Got the screen down here, which as before looks like a telephone. A bit. Let's try and get the base out. That comes out nice and easily. Whoa! Try not to knock the whole lot off the workbench as you do it. Right. So you can see that's where your Ethernet connection is for your LAN connection. Bit of an odd space for it, I suppose, but whatever works. Let's try and open her up and have a look inside. Oh, where's all my bits gone? Oh, they're in this tray here. Looks like we've got quite easy access here, so this should be efficient. Let's set this one here too. That's that 5 screws, and we should be in. Look at that! Oh! I always forget the fan cable. So, as we may have expected, it is an MKS board. Again, they've put hot glue all over everything. I don't think we'll ever get away from that, unfortunately. That's odd. Is that USB? No, they've hot glued the Ethernet cable into the jack. That is a very odd choice. It's literally a locking connector, like it can't come out. I would argue you don't need to put glue on it. Yeah. So that gives you a wired connection. Let's see if I can tilt this up so I can get a better view. So a pretty decent board, this one. It looks pretty similar to some of the kind of off-the-shelf stuff they do. This is probably, or potentially being customized a little bit for Elegoo for this board, for this machine rather. But it doesn't look like it has too much, so that leaves you with an extra extruder motor and stuff like that. So the Raspberry Pi kind of elements are built into this board, so there's not like a separate board that you have for that. It's all kind of stacked in one thing. Does leave you extra connections, so some potential maybe for modification there, just because you've got those extra bits and bobs you could use. And fingers crossed, if they've done their clipper implementation sensibly, then being able to modify should be really easy, because changing that firmware around is very, very simple, in my opinion. Once you get how it works, which is not that difficult, it's very easy to play with. So let's get that back on. Right, so now we've got to do the assembly. Should be pretty simple. It's typical assembly method where you've got the long screws up through the base. Obviously tools are included, so you don't need to worry about having your own, but it might make the process a bit easier. Just having familiar tools can improve the process. But you've only got a small number of screws to do, so nice and easy. Fancy tools definitely not required. Let's flip this over. Hang that bit a little bit off the side. Hello Lars, good to see you. That's one. I've never really enjoyed this assembly method. It's obviously used by like every manufacturer at this point, but I guess it's very easy to implement for them, and whilst people don't moan about it very much, they'll probably keep doing it. It's not the worst. I think a lot of this is looking very similar to the Neptune 3. I'm not seeing too many differences at the moment. I didn't have that machine very long. It was rather annoying to use because of the problems they had with the file naming for some reason. Hopefully, being a different firmware implementation, we won't have those problems here. Right. Just to make sure I've got these all tightened properly, I'm just going to flip it over and access them head on. Never need to wrench these down too tight, but some resemblance of tightness will help keep them in place. They've got some like split washers on, which should help them, well, it will stop them, it will assist in stopping them coming undone, but you do need to do them reasonably tight. Anyway, cool, next. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Do those 4 screws, and then it wants to do the LCD. Let's get this on here, just so it's not in the way. Yeah, so this is what it means about the wobbly thing. Does this have a wobbly thing? This doesn't have a wobbly thing. Let's sort out our wobbly thing as well. Did I put those tools away? Hopefully I've got some extra. What are these two? Strange. Oh, are we getting there? Might be. There we go. No more wobble now. It's not the easiest thing to adjust just because you don't have that much accessibility, but it's fairly simple to do. Yes, this screen mount. Now, I'm not expecting this to be clipper screen, though it would be nice if it was. I suspect it's a modified version. That Brent bed me out and says, mate, oh wait, my cats are hungry. Oh dear. Whoop, that's that one. Next step is whack this on here. I feel like that's weaker than before. It's probably the same actually, but it feels quite weak. I'll take the screen cover off. You can put the spool holder on the top. Then we have filament detection switch with one screw that comes with it, and that sits in this rotating bit here. This is a bit of a pain to do because it spins and whatnot all over the shop. Oh, it needs a different. That's that in there. You should have a cable. Connect a cable into here. On this side, apparently there's a big clip. Oh, it's the same thing as before. Hopefully they've solved the cable management on the larger printer. It was the Max that had the big problem with this cable, because they had basically the same design, but for the larger printer it just was not strong enough. The cable was very... Oh, this seems short. How's... So like this. That's that on there. We should have connection for the motor. Come on, there we go. One for an end stop over there. And this for something. Is it for the filament sensor up here? There's some like extra wire here because we've got a light, although that's a bit plasticky rattly, which is not nice. Of course. It's for this big boy. It's actually potentially quite a smart solution, this, if it works well, because it does give you cooling over the whole range of the print area, and with loads and loads of fans. So then we've got that coming up there to here, and this one going through the front. Come on. There we go. This assembly all looks very similar to before. Oh, they've added a light. That's new. That's good. Yeah, I think there are some changes in there. Cool. Right. Bunch of little connections down here. I think one for LED, one for something else. What's 3-pin? Oh, the filament sensor, of course. And plug in the stepper motor at the base. And we plug in the stepper motor at the base at the other side as well. And I think that's then everything plugged in and ready to go. That's probably the quickest I've ever done that. So let's get this plugged in. So we've got one cable for power. Oh, that's the switch was in the on position, so that's immediately turned on. And I'm going to plug the network cable in the other side. It's a bit annoying that the network cable is on the opposite side to the power cable, but you know, it's just how it is, I suppose. It looks like it takes a little while to turn on. I'm guessing that's because of that extra little computery part in there. So yeah, we've got the same screen front as we had before, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I guess it's kind of fine. So it looks kind of like that. Ooh. Blue. Hello, Rec. Good to see you. A nice and slow but quiet homing sequence. Some goopy glue on there. Can you see it better on here? Not if the camera's there. Oh, that's... lights, head light and observation light. That's quite nice. They've added a little light in here. So for checking first layers or whatever like that, anything under the nozzle. Filament detector you can turn on and off. Screen backlight, key sounds. Factory settings, detection, temperature settings, PLA. 5. What have they put for ABS? 240. So we'll do the leveling. It doesn't look very clippery, which is disappointing. Clipper screen is a really nice interface, but I guess they want it branded and maybe familiar for their users. It looks like they've sort of done this for me. For some reason, it's already at minus 2.2. There's always a leveling profile in there as well. Okay. Select level. Each axis of the printer automatically returns to home. Place A4 under the nozzle paper. Click the compensation value to adjust the distance. Push and pull the paper. When friction is generated, the center point can be calibrated, completed. Click on the auxiliary leveling. Auxiliary leveling. Calibrate the 4 points of the platform with A4 paper by hand twisting nuts. '80s car phone or Palm Pilot. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know why the oh no, the probe. Yeah, that's fine. Confirm auto leveling immediately. After completing, enter automatic leveling. The machine will enter heating, the nozzle, the bed. After reaching preset, start the 36 point calibration. After leveling is completed, set the Z compensation. Place A4 paper under the nozzle and print it again. This is why you don't need like 4 different calibration methods. Click the save icon to save. There really is no need for the bed and the wheels and the... It's just a bit daft. So I've got a bit of preheating. It is heating. It is heating. Please wait. It is heating. Please wait. It is done. Secured order 66. Oh dear. It is heating. It is, I promise, it is heating. We're going to need some filament to do some printing in a minute. What filament do we have? This lovely looking Uranus screen. It is heating still. It is heating bed now. Model test. Print head feeding check. First push filaments to the bottom of the print head. Load the filament. After the nozzle is preheated, feed to extrude, clean the melted filament. Start printing. To first layer adjustments. Fine tune. Resume printing. We've got power loss recovery. If you want to continue printing because of a sudden power outage or accidentally turn off the printer power of the machine, this function does not need to be set manually. When the printer is reconnected to the power supply and turned on, just click resume to continue. Why bother cooling where it's needed when you can just cool everything? I'm eating. Yeah, I mean, so the cooling thing is because they're going up in speed, your cooling fan by the nozzle is just not going to be necessarily at the point where the filament needs cooling for very long. It's just going to be moving off to somewhere else. It'll scooch past and it will basically have no effect. So by having a big duct that cools the whole lot at the same time, you maximize your cooling, and then you can print super quickly without having to worry too much about the cooling fan on the actual by the hot end itself. The downside is, well, one of the big downsides, is it a big downside? Okay, one of the potential downsides is that if you're like me sitting in front of the printer, this blows all the fumes right in your face, which is not always what you're after. In fact, let's go with never what you're after. Only cools one side. Yeah, I mean, in theory, it should cool across the top. So you're not trying to cool the side wall like 20 layers after it's printed. You're trying to cool it as it prints. So hopefully this should just kind of form a sort of a skirt of air that goes across the top, approximately close to where the nozzle's printing. I think that's sort of the idea. Yeah, I've not done the RSCS on my VisiBot. I may do it at some point. This is many, many points of leveling. So many leveling. 36 points. We're there. And now it wants to do this again. Well, it is different. Maybe not. Well, this goes... That'll do. Click the save button. Up here. Save and restart to apply Z offset and leveling data. Confirm. So we do have... so this is the clipper install. So you can see I've just restarted it, now it's cooling down. So clearly they're using the fluid interface, which is nice. They've not covered up their branding like other people have done. You got your macros for your light functions. Model light on and off. You got some G codes on here already. This is all the adjustment stuff we just did. All the probe points. Very, very, oh. Yeah, that's all that stuff. We've got some extra G-code things. Apparently it's done a bunch of printing already. We've done 40, 40, 250 in 2 hours. And a Pikachu in 4 hours and 16 minutes. So I don't know if this is because they just copy an SD card of a printer that has done these things, or if it's actually done these things. That's our bed mesh. Oh golly, look at all these configuration things. Oh god, guys, you've got to tidy this up. Holy hell, what a mess. So basically every time you do a save and restart, it will create a new one of these. And they've just not tidied it up. So you've got all the old ones. The only one you want is this printer.cfg. Well, at least that's what it should come with, in my opinion. Can you not? Can I? Oh, there's no, why is it, there's normally a tick box, isn't there? Remove. Yes. Remove. Oh, this is awful. That needs fixing. Well, tidying up. This is just a mess. But we've got our printer configuration file. So if you do need to modify anything, you can do that. Let's just give it a zoom here and then have a look. They've just got kind of a bog standard configuration. As you can see, the control load is basically the MKS SKIPR. You've got all your configuration things. Verify heater, interesting. And printer stuff, input shaper. So there's no, it looks like there's no accelerometers built in. They've just calibrated a profile. This is odd. I've never seen EI actually be used. Save Z home position. Set hop. Some macros. Ooh, don't know what any of that says, but I'm sure it's fine. Macros for LED controls. Step motor. Stepper driver rather. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. This is all fairly standard. It's annoying that it's all in one file because it makes it very difficult to manage. Verify heater. This is like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of all the other macros. Very strange. And then our updated configuration. So yeah, the configuration stuff's all kind of there, but it's a bit messy. It would be nice to see a folder with them, well, a file that's just macros.cfg, include that in this, and then keep the printer configuration fairly simple. So you kind of should reduce errors with modification, and obviously delete all of this CFG stuff, because this is just, you can see when they did it. Someone was working March 8th, March 9th, 11th, 12th, 14th, going through for hours and hours, making little changes to the config. You could even probably go through all these files and work out what they were changing and working on. Not that we want to, but there you go. Tells you about the processor and all this kind of stuff, and a bunch of settings. So, have they put presets in? No. There's also no MCU temperature. You could add that in. So I don't really know. I mean, these these sliced files are Creality Ender 3 E3 V2. Oh dear. Why have they just taken Creality Ender 3 file? I guess that's probably the profile that they slice it in Cura. I think Cura does this naming. That's quite funny. Well, the board is an MKS board, so it would make sense that the configurations were based on that. Sorry for yawning. So I've got an SD card and a USB drive. Let's have a look. There's also a USB-C port on the front as well. I'm not sure what that's for. So we've got files on there. So what's on this? $512 megabyte micro SD card. I imagine not very much. Maybe this is firmware. Maybe it's for reflashing firmware if you need to at a later date. So let's, before we start printing, prepare temperature PLA 20560. That seems within reasonable range. Let's move the Z up. I'm not going to because it's not homed. They do advertise 500 millimeters per second speed. We'll see how realistic that is. That just doesn't work. Really? Oh, it's because it was on 0.1. Yeah. Okay. Model. Benchy. Rapid PLA test. It thinks the G-code files. They're set up as folders. Oh man alive. Have they done that? Is it some stupid limitation of their filing system again? I wonder if it's a problem with the screen or something. Model, Benchy. There is a G-code file in that folder, but it can't see it. Amazing. I bet you it's a weird file limitation thing again. There we go. Probably the file name being too long. That's kind of disappointing. I'd probably recommend barely ever using the touchscreen. Certainly not doing USB-driven file printing. Once you've got Clipper, just do everything over the internet. of the internet over the network. Sending files via Wi-Fi or direct LAN and printing via the UI, the web UI. So much easier, so much less faffing about. So this is an 18-minute benchy. So, I mean, I'm expecting super fast. Let's get the speed lights on. Temperature-wise, we're probably a bit cold. Oh no, 220. Doesn't seem to be any filament coming out. That's going to hinder the progress somewhat. Still no filament coming out. Now there is some filament coming out. There's no way that's going to work. I don't know what they've done. I mean, I literally just purged it. They must have removed the purge line at the beginning of the print or something. Oh no, that's... Cancel. Cancel! Print. Model. Benchy. No. Yeah. Confirm. Confirm. They probably don't have a decent start G-code and G-code and stuff like that. It does tend to highlight a bit of a lack of experience in using Clipper when manufacturers move over to using it and don't use it in the way it's intended to be used, which is a very effective and easy way. So basically negates the need to have start and end G-code in the slicer. Is that a Creality K1 without a smashed door? It is! Door's all intact. Oh, let's try not to break it. There we go, look. Door works and everything. I mean, the hot end's jammed. So it's not been printing anything for a while. It's disappointing, really, because it was printing quite well and then wasn't. Yeah, I would have done as well, to be honest. Here we go, that's primed a bit better. It's not very big prime lime, it's like 60 millimeters. It's quite quiet. I mean, it's using V-slot wheels, which are going to wear up. Oh, okay, it's not quite now. It's making the whole table move. Oh, I don't want to stick my head down in front of it. Right, it's time to smash that like button. Let's get at least as many. Let's get 30. If we can get to 30 likes. We have 36 people. So let's try and make it to 30 likes. On a vibration scale of 0 to V minion, how does it score? I don't know. It's not so bad now I've moved the orientation. But it'll have, I mean, the table obviously has a specific resonance, which will be problematic, which is why it wobbled extra. Well, the infill is just sort of not there. The hot end, I don't think, can keep up with the the infill is just basically non-existent. I don't think the hot end can keep up with the printing speed. So they've made a printer that can move that fast, but it can't actually print that fast. Oh, it's basically silent compared to CPAP. I mean, this big fan at the back is reasonably loud, but as fans go, it's not that bad actually. Hot end is more bottleneck than people realize. Hot end is like the main bottleneck. Getting plastic out is like one of the most difficult bits. Don't have a pen. They definitely need to make the Clipper firmware more obviously available. I did have a look before this. It looks like you can get it from the Neptune 4 Pro download section, but it really needs to be on the other one as well. Oh dear. That's not good noises. It sounded like detaching noises. Oh dear. More detaching noises. Yeah, so the configuration file for the firmware is available on the Neptune 4 Pro section if you're interested. Hello, Printed Visions. I am quite well, thank you. I feel like these V-stock wheels are going to wear out very fast at this speed. It's just a gut instinct, though. I've no actual data to suggest that that's true. It just feels like they're probably not quite designed for this speed. Oh, goodness me, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Are they using upstream clipper and not a fork? That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure I know how to check that. I'm not very used to fluid. I usually use main cell and I know where to look for things in there. This is the Moonraker configuration file. Oh, excuse me. So it's those PLA fumes making me sneeze. It doesn't seem to be. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. There's no configuration for the updating. It's just not there. Oh dear. I don't have any user information for logging into the printer. Let's see. Uh, so it looks like there's a root as well. Oh, sorry. What? I have to do SH, isn't it? Pi. Yes, but yes. So I've used here. So I've gone to the MKS SKIPR GitHub, and there's information for SSH here. And I've logged in using user2 MKS and password megabase, and that's got me to here. So it looks like you do have access that you would want. It's weird that it says general system configuration beta warning a reboot is needed to finish resizing the file system. Please reboot as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it feels like what they've done, it is clipping, it is running. It does feel very half-assed. Oh, is this all the... This is like just the whole development. It's just make some changes, save it, change it, try again, try again, try again. How do you launch? It looks like it is installed. Oh dear. That's a failure on the benchy. Hmm? Basically, the first layer was absolutely miles away. Yeah, I mean, it's quite fast, but the hot end just can't keep up. That's not a file that that printer can achieve. It seems odd that I've just gone through that calibration and it was dead on, and then you start printing, it's miles away. Like, I don't know quite what's going on there. Well, the fact that Kiao, I always call it Kiao just because it's easy to say. Huh? Oh no. How do you go? Let's update this. I'm going to update it and see if it breaks. So Clipper screen's kind of installed. Update check failed for system. Here we go. This will probably break a lot of things. Error. Your local changes to the following files will be overwritten by the merge. Clippy extras probe, Clippy extras virtual SD card, Clippy mcu.py. Please commit your changes or stash them before you merge. Aborting. So I don't know how to deal with that. Clear 0.1. 0.11 is latest. Can I just perform update to Clipper? No. Can I just do Moonraker? No. So it looks like if you wanted to, you know, fiddle around with it, you absolutely could. Don't know what is going on with this. It's just lost. Yeah, that first layer was absolutely country mile away. And you even saw me do the configuration and save it, so I don't know what happened there. Yeah. So I presume most of the updates are to do with the screen, because I can't imagine there's really much that they've actually done other than the screen that would really be critical. I don't know if I should do it. What I'm tempted to do, because I think this printer without the screen running Clipper is almost as useful as one with a screen running Clipper. Because while a screen can be kind of useful, it's really, really not essential when you're running Clipper. Because you've got such a good web interface, web UI and all this kind of stuff, you just don't need it. Like what I do with most of mine is I have a NFC tag. I call them rep tags, like rep wrap, NFC tag combo. I tap my phone on the printer, it instantly goes to the IP address to control it, and then I have my phone, which is a screen, right next to the printer. One phone controls all the printers very easily without any problems. This basically unnecessary. In which case, this then could probably handle having an update just by getting rid of basically most of it. You just scrap the whole firmware that they've provided and start again. Maybe take the configuration data for some of it just so you can get it back. Mobile Raker, I think I put that on recently. I've just been using IP addresses. Excuse me. Was it Mobile Raker I put on here? Yes. Anywho, however you like to do it, the screen probably not that essential for doing that. You know what's tempting? Oh, it's too much time. I can I can't be asked to do it now. I think if this was a printer that I was going to look to keep, I would 100% want that ability to update. I think it's daft that it's been basically disconnected from that. I'm not that fussed about keeping the screen, but you might find that Clipper Screen actually works with it anyway. So what I would probably be tempted to do, I can't obviously guarantee that any of this would work because I've not done it. I would potentially disconnect the screen, and if it works at the end, then I'd do it. Take out the SD card, put in a fresh one, do a completely fresh install following MKS, SKI, PR guides. They have all that information. It's all basically open source. You can run through all those instructions, and you should be able to set up this printer with a new SD card. Because I'm pretty sure, I know it's actually on the eMMC module, isn't it? So you don't necessarily get your backup that you probably want. I'd like to encourage putting stock Clipper on it and retaining your updating capabilities. But I don't want to just completely brick a printer. It just feels careless. But I do want to test it for people because it's probably more important. It's better for me to brick one printer than for everyone else to brick theirs, right? So, I mean, look how weak this is. I literally just crushed this with my fingers. There is no infill. Like, it just doesn't exist. Just no infill. The walls are fine because they were printed slower, but... they don't want it back. They're not getting the printer back. But if I completely brick it, it's going to be... I don't know, what can I do with it then? It ends up just going to a skip or something, which is a complete waste. Or I spend hours taking it all to parts, or... it's just... I did get the Bamboo A1 assembled. You can see it on the table behind me. Ta-da! There's a whole live stream on it, so go check that out if you want. See, I don't... While their firmware that they have is really just configuration options for Clipper, I think. It's not really the whole firmware, I don't think. What if I... Right. Can I use... Who's more advanced with this stuff than me? I'm tempted to try a remove. Remove all the stuff that's there and reinstall it from scratch. I wonder if that's going to block me again. In which case, do I need to use Git? How do we stash the changes? Right, let's go back. Let's stash those changes, whatever that means. Git stash. Okay. Oh. Use printer Creality Ender 3S 1 config. What? Oh dear. Which one's the S1? Oh, there's that. This is just hilarious. So is that done? Is that happy? If it's happy we've stashed the changes, how do we unstash the changes? Oh. Update all. Aha! Let's do it. We're doing it. The ideal scenario here is it basically removes all the Elegoo interface and just puts Clipper screen on that screen over there. Updating package lists failed. No! Why? Yeah. I basically need to follow my own guide. My Clipper guide. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing is... Oh... Release file for Ambient is not valid yet. Invalid for another 146 days. Updates for this repository will not be applied. To not upgraded. Yeah, it looks like the time is not correct, doesn't it? How do I check the time? Date. The 15th of March 2023. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. How do we make the date correct? Last time I checked, it isn't March. I'm glad you guys know all the stuff. Time zone. Change time zone. I didn't see that, did it? It's not saved it. Why does it still say America, Los Angeles? Oh golly. Oh golly. Oh, cancel. It's now the 16th of March. We're going back in time. We've just lost 7 days. Oh, wrong one again. Do I have to set the date manually? Can I not just grab the date? What's CCYY? So you're saying sudo date. month, day. Oh, century. What century are we? We're 21st century. Day, month, day, hour, hopefully 24 hour, minute, 57, century, just put 2020, oh, 2023. Oh yeah, of course. Okay, I see what you mean. 28th September. So how have they managed to just get the date to something that's wrong and just fix it at something that's... This printer's going to permanently live 6 months behind. The update wouldn't work even if you wanted to do because the dates are wrong. Yeah, they're up. Yeah, they're blasting an image onto it from 6 months ago, I guess. My goodness, eh? My goodness. Do you want to continue? Probably. Elegoo can do some pretty nice things. Oh, maybe it is the same reason why Kia didn't work as well. I think Elegoo can do some pretty good stuff, but I think on the software side on this machine, I think it doesn't take very much digging to find out that somebody doesn't understand Clipper, and I think it's very evident here. I don't think any of the big manufacturers have sorted out Clipper yet. They've all started using it, but none of them actually know how. Well, one of the last one didn't have any macros on it. They just did it all in normal G code on the slicer still. I was just like, you've just completely overlooked one of the main benefits of Clipper. I don't know if you can do that. Does this run systemd? Systemd? Could you try system control status time sync? I don't know. Can I try that? Yeah, but the Sonic pad's an absolute mess as well. I probably waited for 4 months or something with the Sonic pad and that boxy printer that wasn't a Core XY. Ender 5 S1 Pro, I think it was. They were like, these are perfect together. You'll definitely want these two together. There you go. And I plugged them in and I set them up and I pressed the printer and it started and the probe missed the bed. All instructed rather by the Sonic pad. And I was like, this needs an update because it's not correct. Months and months and months later, they hadn't bothered. And they're selling it everywhere. I was like, this is the best bundle to get. I'm like, no, it's not. It doesn't work. This is a lot of updating and upgrading, isn't it? Well, it's made me laugh, if nothing else. They were very keen for me to do this one because they wanted to send me another printer, and they were like, you need to do the first one before we send you another one. Hopefully they don't mind that this is what I'm doing. This is going to take a while, isn't it? 29%. What's predictions of what we're going to see? I would hope. So let's have a look. This should give us an indication of what will work and what won't. The fact that you need an image is concerning. An ambient image. Okay. Flash to eMMC. Connect the network cable. Let's see, if we had this, then it might work. I don't know if that connection's on the board. There's connection for ADXL. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the screen will work. I think it would be nice if the screen worked, and then this would be literally my instruction, is just go and do these updates to this machine. And then you get Clipper screen, you get updating, you get stock Clipper. You're not getting that second one. Well, Elegoo are normally quite open about this. Previously they were open to the criticism that I provided, and they looked willing to make improvements as we go. Like as much as they obviously want publicity and whatever for their machine, they want people to be buying them and all this kind of stuff. They also seem to see the value in getting feedback. And I think this time the hardware, I think, is pretty reasonable. I mean, I don't think the hot end can keep up with the speeds that they're trying to do, so their settings are a little bit optimistic. But having Clipper, in theory, is good, but the implementation is suboptimal, shall we say? Excuse me. It's a bit disappointing, I will say. I just wish they would polish these things off more. I suppose maybe... I mean, how long ago was it that the Neptune 3 came out, and now they're already on to like Neptune 4? Was it a year? 6 months. It feels like it was 6 months. It feels like I don't know, barely finished the old videos, and then these started coming out. When they're iterating that fast, they just want to get the main selling points in there. Yes, runs Clipper, go. You probably won't get Clipper screen on that display. Yeah, you're probably right. But I think if I was to make a trade-off here and say, do I want the screen or do I want stock Clipper that updates and is configured correctly? I will take the updating and configured correctly over the screen. Why do they bodge Clipper? I mean, I can't obviously give you a set answer because, well, I'm not them, but I would imagine it's because they want their branding on it. They want a consistent user experience from just a branding and marketing point of view. The screen on here and the interface looks identical pretty much to the Neptune 3. It's a completely different firmware, but they want it to look the same so that people would bought the Neptune 3 and go, oh, I'm going to upgrade to the Neptune 4. They're not suddenly like, oh, this is completely different. It looks just kind of the same. You're dipping back into resin printing. I'm steering well clear of resin printing, I think, for a while. It's just, if I had a really much more industrial workspace with loads of space and like basically a room that I can spill resin over and not worry about it, lots of UV lights to just quickly cure things if there's a problem, all of that kind of stuff, I might look into it. But just make sure that you're prepared for resin to go absolutely everywhere, because inevitably it will. I just hate the cleanup. When one thing goes wrong, your print doesn't finish, it's stuck to the base, you can't see it, it's all hidden under resin. Every time you touch something or go near it, you need PPE all over. You take it out, it drips everywhere, like don't cure properly, it's freaking toxic. It's just such a difficult experience to enjoy. If everything works perfectly, it's fine. You do a print, it's stuck to the thing, you take it off, you wash it, you're done. It cures, nice. But just doesn't work that way in reality. The reality is it gets stuck, it doesn't pull off the sheet, or it doesn't stick properly. It's just an absolute nightmare. Hello, Mr. Patron. I'm doing okay, thank you very much. We're having a bit of a laugh with the sort of not great clipper installation. I had a resin printer like when they were quite new. The original, oh, it was Elegoo actually, the Elegoo Mars, the first one. I had one of those. I kind of enjoyed using it. It was a bit of a novelty. It does lots of detail. It was nice and small, so it didn't take up too much room. Did some DIY things for curing and that sort of stuff, and it was sort of okay. But then I realized I didn't really need it. I didn't really use it. The materials were all too brittle to be functionally useful. Again, super messy, not that fun, so I got rid of it. And now I've got this Haygears equipment set, which Joel's just done a video on a couple of days ago, and I've had, unfortunately, nothing but failures so far. So what were we doing? Let's go back to let's try updating. Invalid command. What did I press? There we go. Greetings from Texas. First time here live. Great. Lovely to have you. Update menu. Let's update all. Go for it. Do you want to proceed? Absolutely. Error. Commit your changes or stash them. So this is Moonraker. We stashed our Clipper changes, but we need to stash our Moonraker changes as well by the look of it. So what shall I do? I don't know what any of that means, but it looks like it's done a thing. To update. No, you're not responsible. Don't worry. You're just the one providing the commands. Here we go. We're doing a thing. It's updating. I mean, it's kind of perfect for miniatures. I don't disagree in like the theory of you want fine details, you want little things, the structure integrity doesn't really matter. In terms of a manufacturing process to produce that product, definitely the right thing. FDM just can't really do that. If it does, it's very slow and uses a tiny nozzle, and again, just not really ideal. But the actual pain in the ass of still having failures is the same. One miniature or 1,000 miniatures, still a pain in the ass. There seems to be, I don't know, just needs process improvement for, I don't know. Trouble is with resin, once it's in somewhere, you can't get it out. Like you can't just clear it. You can't just put a hole like under the tray and then it all comes out. And then you like pump it back up. Like these things just don't exist. I think I might have broken it. I know. It's going on. It would be good. I don't know. I'm sure there are resin systems out there which are reliable enough to just press print and it does it. One of the problems I've had with the Hager stuff is that their slicer, well, for a start, when I first used it, which was like 2 months ago, it was all very much beta and barely working. It was very, very slow and kept crashing. But I've started using it again over the last week or so, and they've made a lot of changes since, well, basically before I went into hospital. And a lot has changed and a lot has improved. But the slicer still doesn't actually reorientate the part to an optimal angle. Or maybe it does now. Was there an option for that? I think there might have been. It's just, I don't know. I kind of want to keep trying, but at the same time, it just takes so much time to deal with that resin, and I've ended up spilling some today, so now I have to, like, there's now a hole in the film sheet, the FEP film. I don't know if it's FEP, I think it still is. But that film that the UV shines through, oh my goodness, big wall of red. That doesn't look good. This is a everything's not going to work anymore screen. I don't know what this means. Does this mean it didn't do the update? Oh, it's done some updating. Can we update the system as well? Not only do we not need clipper screen, we don't necessarily want it. Especially if we're not... Oh. Cure will not install any dist upgrades or any packages which have been held back. 2 not upgraded. The following packages have been kept back. What trick 54? Okay, I don't know quite what that means, but sure. So I mean, looks like we're where were we? Yeah. Oh dear. We've broken it. we've really broken it now. So how do we flash the MCU on this bad boy? I don't know how much longer I want to mess around with it. That's not a good sign, is it? Oh, the printer's just turned off. Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, it bloody works. Oh, yes. Even the screen works. Well, that was unexpected. So has it actually done the update? That's the question. No. That looks like it's not. Doesn't it? Oh no, that's not. That's a different thing. So how's it still connecting to the MCU if it's not updated it? A reboot is needed to finish resizing the file system. It's going to basically say that every time it boots up. Any idea how we fix that? It's suggesting everything is installed. So what were we trying to do? We were going to check the Moonraker update things. We don't have an update manager. So this is for main set. Does they have the same instructions for fluid? Can we do this? Can we just whack this in here? Because somewhere, I don't know where it normally is in fluid, you get an update interface, which is just like, it checks the latest version of the different things that are installed. And I'm not seeing that anywhere. Oh, it seems to have deleted our bed mesh, or it's just not loaded, I guess. It's not likely. GK preview, console, and home. Trusted user. Where do you check for updates? I know it is on in main cell. Is it going to work? I think that printer's on. Should be running. Software updates. There we go. Oh, because it's not updated. This 115. So you've got Fluid, Clipper, Moonraker, and OS packages. Let's do a quick check. So this one I like, because with your config stuff, your update stuff is all here right next to it. I think that's a really good way of doing it. So I don't know how much this is going to break other things later on, or if the Clipper screen... I'm assuming this thing still works. Oh. Yeah, so the screen doesn't really work now. It shows things, but the buttons don't respond. The printer doesn't respond to the buttons. So it's like an output device only. Does the control board have a boot header? I don't know. You might be able to scroll back. Can you scroll back? I don't know. It's been less than 2 hours. If you scroll back to where I unplugged it, you might be able to see. Yeah, they definitely had the custom stuff for the screen control, and that's what's basically lost by doing the update. It's a shame that they've not integrated in a way that you can actually update everything. They've set it as a, this is the printer, this works now, and good luck for the future because nothing else works. I don't need the screen. I don't need the printer, to be honest. It was just for testing. It kind of works, I suppose. I don't know how I can unupdate my printer now to go back to how it was when it was working. It might just be a bit of a dump printer now. Anyone need an Elegoo Neptune 4? Got the Scott Clipper. Yeah, it's... I'm kind of... I don't know. I'm happy it's got Clipper. It's a good firmware and it's useful. I think it's easy to use, but they've obviously struggled with the customization that they wanted whilst retaining original Clipper features like being able to update, like the most obvious thing that you would want software to do. Elegoo. I feel like every time you get closer, but you're still making mistakes on what I would call simple things. Well, I'm sure since it's firmware, maybe you can send me an update that I can flash onto this machine and we'll get everything working again with Clipper and updates and maybe main cell as an optional interface as well, because I prefer that. But Fluid, main cell, whatever. As long as it has updates and works, then we're getting it a little bit closer. And delete all those extra files that are not needed. Can you imagine a user going onto here, going through the web interface and trying to work out what printer config they need to be using? There's like 40 of them. Come on, you can do better. Have you noticed any direct advantages of Clipper versus Marlin? Most of the claims I've seen seem to be tied more to hardware choices in the dedicated processor. Any direct advantages? There are many, many advantages that I personally enjoy over the last time I used Marlin. But Marlin, I have not used for over 6 years, probably. The closest thing I use is my Prusa Mark III still occasionally, which technically has a version of sort of Marlin, but mostly a Prusa version which has changed a lot. The web interface, the easy configuration. I mean, originally they were the only ones with a good input shaper. In theory, more precise motor control. Are you going to notice that? Probably not. Yeah, web user interface. All this. There's so many advantages I find of using Clipper over Marlin. Marlin has been an absolutely great firmware that got everyone so far in 3D printing from like, when was it? I can't remember when Marlin first really got involved. But it's driven so much printer development, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be the best. It has been the best for a very long time, but Clipper, in my mind, has taken the crown at the moment. Yeah, not having to recompile firmware to make a single change. Again, like, it just allows for much easier tuning. Tuning configuration is just so much easier with Clipper, even over RepRap firmware in my mind. RepRap firmware was a really good step, I think, from where Marlin was, because again, you didn't have to recompile to make changes, but because everything they do is in G code, reading a configuration file is just letters and numbers, and it's very difficult to digest. So if everything's like pre-configured for you, and you've like bought a printer that has that and everything works, fine, no problems. It'll be absolutely amazing, I'm sure. But when you have one little problem and you're not quite sure where it's coming from, diagnosing that in a RepRap firmware configuration file, I find more difficult than in a Clipper one, because Clipper is all kind of in words. You can kind of read what's going on. It helps you understand where you're at. Anyway, I think we've probably made it to our scheduled end today. Thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully it's been mildly entertaining as we screw around with the Neptune 4. An interesting printer, definitely. I'm sure it has decent capabilities. We've explored some of its limits today and definitely hit them and gone past some of those limits too. Unfortunately, I don't think I can recommend it. I mean, you might find it's okay. Is it going to be any better significantly than the Neptune 3 Pro, was it? Probably not many advantages, since the Clipper installation is not very optimized. So thanks very much, everyone. Thank you. Pleasure. Thanks for all the help with the coding stuff as well. And I'll see you next time. Cheerio, 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 cheerio.